In Tantra, we divide major schools of magic into three categories: black magic, red magic, and white magic. This color system is rooted in the concept of guna. Guna is the elemental category of a given expression of consciousness. The three gunas include tamas, the guna of materiality, rajas, the guna of passion, and sattva, the guna of the metaphysical. Tamas is represented by the color black. Black is the richness of the soil and the darkness of the Divine Mother that is expressed in the Muladhara and the Svadhisthana. Tantrics engaged in tamasic yoga traditionally wear the color black to intensify their connection with the material form. This practice is ancient and is the foundation for black magic and the donning of the black robes by modern witches and warlocks. It is not uncommon for tamasic magicians to utilize overtly sexual or dirty imagery and fetishes in their practices, as the generation of sexual energy is particularly potent when practicing this form of magic. The mother cult tribes of Africa are an example of people who live naturally within the bounds of tamasic magic. The black magician utilizes a fetish to bring the spirit into the material, such as exemplified by the voodoo tradition of Zangbeto. Tamasic magic, in the current dichotomous paradigm, could be described as fundamentally demonic. The notion of black magic being bad comes from the idea of believing in the checkerboard of good and evil, a concept that is very difficult for the average man to break free from. Rajas is represented by the color red. Red is the burning fire of passion and the joy of the divine child that is expressed in the Manipura and the Anahata. Red tantrics and magicians have become increasingly rare as manifestations of the divine child and expressions of individual passionate display are stifled by the Abrahamic order. Regardless, red magic remains an extremely potent means of empowering the self and advancing sacred creativity. Tantric Buddhism is a red magic cult that seeks to apply the middle path between the general chaos of black magic and the general order of white magic. Despite its often sattvic trappings, Tantric Buddhism is directed towards the accumulation of great passion in the heart so that consciousness is preserved in Buddhahood. This is exemplified by the principle of one flame lighting many candles. Heart-centered willpower acts as the foundation for practice. This does not mean that red magic is kind. On the contrary, it can be extremely wrathful. This form of magic represents the extremes of personal experience. Rajas magic utilizes the intensity and rawness of emotion to manifest magical outcomes. Sattva is represented by the color white. White is the stillness of the absorbing light and the austerity of the divine masculine principle that is expressed in the Vishuddhi and the Ajna. The white robes of the ascetic monk are a common feature of transcendent cults in the present age. The Yamabushi are an example of a cult of white magicians who utilize intense communion with the spirit to achieve detachment from the material. The material becomes a platform for leaving the earth and engaging with transcendent experience. In the example of the Yamabushi, these magicians will stare into space at the edge of a cliff in order to experience emptiness in transcendental meditation. Within the current paradigm, sattvic magic could fundamentally be described as angelic, insofar as it seeks to use the spirit to purify the material. Through prostration of the material and prostration of the self, the sattvic magician can merge with the spirit and purify the gross aspects of mundane materiality. To put it simply, black magic is directed towards material power, red magic towards passionate self-expression, and white magic towards spiritual pursuits. Any of the three forms can be creative or destructive. Contrary to popular belief, black magic is not inherently malicious. These modern categorizations of the color schools are based upon petty Abrahamic morality. The embrace of these designations by Western magicians reveals the extent of Abrahamic influence within the West. Drawing the color schools back to their Aryan roots in India, we see that the practice of color magic is far more nuanced than what has been presented in Western practice.